Born on December 15, 1888 in Atlantic, Pennsylvania, Maxwell Anderson was an American playwright. His most successful plays were set during the reigns of the Tudors, such as Elizabeth the Queen about Elizabeth I, which ran from November 1930 to March 1931. The play was adapted into film in 1939, titled The Private Lives of Elizabeth and Essex, with Bette Davis starring as Elizabeth I and Errol Flynn as the Earl of Essex. Another one of his plays was Mary of Scotland, about Mary Queen of Scots, which ran from November 1933 to July 1934, and was also adapted into a film of the same name, starring Katharine Hepburn as Mary Queen of Scots. But Maxwell Anderson's most known play wouldn't meet the screen until 20 years after its first onstage performance. The play Anne of the Thousand Days ran from December 8, 1948 to October 8, 1949, with 288 performances in total. Joyce Redmond played the part of Anne Boleyn, and Rex Harrison played the part of Henry VIII, which he won a Tony Award for. The reason it took so long to be adapted into screen is because its themes of adultery, illegitimacy, and incest went against the U.S. Motion Picture Production Code from 1930 to 1968. Olivia Hussey, fresh off of her breakout role as Juliet in the 1968 version of Romeo and Juliet, was the film's producer Hal B. Wallace's first choice to play Anne Boleyn. However, when they met in New York and he offered her the role of Anne Boleyn, he also offered her a role in the film True Grit opposite John Wayne. Olivia told him that she was interested in Anne of the Thousand Days, but couldn't see herself with Wayne. Hal B. Wallace did not like that response from her, and so he withdrew both of his offers from her immediately. When Richard Burton was cast as Henry VIII, his wife Elizabeth Taylor wanted to play Anne Boleyn, but Hal B. Wallace rejected her as he thought she was too old for the role. Julie Christie and Faye Dunaway were also considered to play Anne, but the role eventually went to Genevieve Bujold when she refused to do a screen test for the role, which Hal B. Wallace thought is something Anne Boleyn would have done. It's not certain why or when, but at some point during the filming of the movie, Elizabeth Taylor was concerned that her husband Richard Burton was having an affair with Genevieve Bujold. She even made a small cameo in the movie just so she could keep an eye on the both of them. Elizabeth was also on set during the final film scene of the movie, which was the scene where Anne is in the tower, and this annoyed Genevieve. Genevieve reportedly told the director Charles Jarrett, and I quote, "I'm going to give that bitch an acting lesson she'll never forget." I am now going to read some passages from Richard Burton's diary, which was published 30 years after his death, and reveals how he really felt about Genevieve. Sunday, October 20th, 1968. I met my future leading lady, a girl called Genevieve Gujot or something like that. She seems pert and attractive, though I suspect somewhat opinionated and not overbright. She'll have to do, I suppose, though I wish Elizabeth Taylor, were playing Anne, but I suppose she is too mature for it. Wednesday, May 21st, 1969. The girl is very small in every way, in height, in weight, and vocally. I could out-project her with a whisper. Her face is too tiny, but the eyes and mouth are good. In size and pertness only, she reminded me of the late and lamented Vivien Leigh. It's difficult to tell at a reading, but I think she might have difficulty with long sustained speeches, but doubtless will be able to fiddle around that with judicious cuts to listening faces and a spot of dubbing. She said one sensible thing. When they brought those inevitable tedious cardboard models of the set around, she said, "Those dolls' houses mean absolutely nothing to me." Quite right, too. Richard then begins to refer to Genevieve as Jen in his diary, and some people have pointed to this as proof that they were having an affair, because it was known that Richard would give nicknames to his lovers. But in my opinion, it's just so he didn't have to write her whole name down. Friday, May 30th, 1969. We made all the papers yesterday and Jen looked splendid in them. Saturday, May 31st, 1969. Yesterday was what one might call eventful. I tested at the studio, I danced with Jen, who is, perhaps out of nerves, turning into a bit of a tiresome bore. Saturday, June 7th, 1969. Then off to work at the crack of dawn to face a long scene with Jen Bujold, in which I had to do most of the talking. She'll be alright, I suppose, though she doesn't have enough dynamite and spit and venom and arrogance for the part. But of course I always am thinking in the remote rear of my cranium how marvelous E would be and how much better. Tuesday, July 29th, 1969. It was an odd day. Sir Alan Herbert came to lunch with his granddaughter, who was one of the ladies-in-waiting to Anne Boleyn. He is old, coming up to 79, and according to Jen Bujold, made a pass at her. It was probably wishful thinking, and I didn't notice anything, but that's what she believes anyway. Sunday, August 10th, 1969. I arrived at the stage, which E tells me is predictable, of being thoroughly bored by what I'm doing. The next 3 weeks are going to be torture. I've tried for several weeks, and all my friends have too, to make Jen Bugel feel like a desirable person, but it's a lost cause. It appears she goes out to discotheques with her husband every night, ignores her child, and arrives at the studio looking like the end of the world, and smells like it. She's forever throwing up. She's only 27. She has reinvented bilelessness. Why can't she learn to look splendid at 6 in the morning, even if she went to bed at 5:30? Elizabeth looks dewdropped with 15 minutes of sleep. Thursday, August 28th, 1969. Despite my protestations, E is still apprehensive about Jen Bugel. It is a dangerous situation, but the danger lies to Miss Bugel and not to us. I imagine she's going to find it very difficult to go back to Montreal, to the suburban house, after the false glamour of this particular production. Because of my insistence from the beginning that she must get star treatment, she has no idea how disliked she is. Because of their loyalty, the lads have lunches with her, and dined her, and wined her, but they have palpably had it now up to the teeth. Sunday, August 30th, 1969. Well, it's over. All I have is a couple of shots left to do. Jen Bugel is quite literally a fool. She has upset all of us very badly. So perhaps she's not a fool. She may have meant to upset us. Well, good luck to you, baby, because the only one who is going to be upset is you. Vulgar and rubbish and ambition, and I hate all three. Friday, December 12th, 1969. Today we received a telegram from Ed Henry of Universal Pictures saying that Anne of the Thousand Days has been shown to the press in NY and LA, and the reaction is nothing short of sensational, and superior to A Man for All Seasons and Lion in Winter. We shall see, Mr. Henry. We shall see. It would be a good thing if Jen Bugel won an Oscar, which, since she's an unknown, and if the film is as successful as Universal believes it's going to be, and if she keeps her trap shut about how horrible a place Hollywood is, she's quite likely to do. If she does, or even if she doesn't, come to think of it, I'd hate to be her next director or leading man. I think she firmly believes herself to be the legitimate heir to the Rochelle and Bernhardt and Deuce. She has all the power of a gnat, a dying one. I could whisper louder than she screams. Anne of the Thousand Days would win the 27th Golden Globe Awards for Best Motion Picture Drama, Best Director Motion Picture, Genevieve Bugel as Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama, and Best Screenplay. Richard Burton was nominated for both a Golden Globe Award and an Academy Award for his performance, but he won neither. He actually hated his performance and the movie and was shocked when he got nominated. Genevieve Bugel broke her contract with Universal after the film's release and decided to no longer act in big-name films. Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor would divorce in 1974, and then marry again in 1975, and then divorce again in 1976.